Today we're looking at the Elite Force M92 A1 by KWC. Hey people, it is I, that GBB guy, and today we're looking at another replica, the Elite Force M92 A1. This is made by KWC. It is a full metal, CO2 powered replica that is capable of select fire. And honestly, that's one of the most exciting parts of this replica. So let's just go and dive in. I would say that the first thing that you'll notice when you pick this gun up is its heft. This is a weighty gun. This thing is ridiculous. It is beefy. You're gonna feel this on your hip. It is heavy. I weighed it, and with the magazine, it's about 2.5 pounds. So it's quite heavy. On the externals, being an Elite Force replica, you can see that it is officially licensed with Beretta markings. These are just laser etched on. On the right side, we have the white wall. Thanks, Umarex. And on the front, we have an orange tip, which is just painted on. This is not a plastic tip. It is actually part of the barrel that's been painted. But what's interesting here is on the inside, you can see, let's see, hopefully we can actually get a shot here. There's mock rifling on the inside of the barrel. You don't see that too often, so it's pretty neat that they added that on here. We have just very basic tri-dot sights. Nothing too special here. Unfortunately, these are not like the original sights on the real thing. It's just molded to look like they are removable, but they are fixed. They are part of the cast slide. So that's disappointing, but still pretty cool looking. They're functional. They work. On the rear of the slide, we have the combination safety and decocker, which is ambidextrous. Unfortunately, my decocker has broken, but you know, it's not a big deal. You just drop the magazine and you can drop the hammer, then put it right back in. And that's significant because this gun is capable of double and single action. And when you pull back the hammer for single action, you can see that the trigger moves back. So you have a shorter trigger pull. It's quite a mushy trigger, unfortunately. There is kind of a wall, but it's not the best ever. If you look over here, you can see this little tiny switch. You can flip that up, and now it's in fully automatic. Flip it down, and now it's in semi-automatic. So pretty easy to do. Kind of annoying when it's in fully automatic because it's pretty easy for something to flick that, but I feel like most people are going to be using it semi-automatic anyways. So it's not the worst thing ever. The range and accuracy are decent for a pistol. My expectations for pistols aren't that high. Because usually the way I use them is last ditch. So, you know, I would say that if you want a pistol that is going to be good for longer ranges, this might not be the gun for you. It's good, probably about out to 20 or 30 paces maybe. So 20 or 30 yards. The FPS, I chronoed it, and right now outside it's about 20 or 30 degrees, so it's below freezing right now where I am. But it chronoed about 340 to 350, with a couple shots about 355. But I think that's pretty good for indoor play, and that was me going directly outside into the freezing temperatures, so I don't think that affected it too much. And being CO2 probably didn't have too much of an effect. So I would say that's probably a pretty accurate measurement. Now the recoil, it does have it has a pretty good recoil, but I wouldn't describe it as a hard kicking recoil. It's more like a snappy recoil. Like, it kind of gives you a good jerk, but it doesn't like pull a lot. And that's because of the very fast moving, very light slide. It's kind of hard to show here, but this, let me take out the magazine. This slide is, the recoil spring is very, very snappy. Even holding it upwards, it's still very snappy. And that's kind of the feeling that you get when you're shooting the gun. It just snaps. It is a very enjoyable gun to shoot. It's pretty easy to keep on target. I very much like it. I think it's a very enjoyable replica to shoot. And the full auto is insanely awesome. And I got to show you a clip just so you can see it. I know, right? That is just absolutely insane. I also own a M712 by WE, and I would say these two guns are wrestling for the position of fastest firing GBB that I own. It's really, really insane. Would I use it in a game? Probably not. Most of my fields around here only allow semi-automatic, so it's kind of a bummer there, but it's really fun for plinking. All right, so next up, let's go ahead and field strip it. So field stripping is pretty easy. You can see that there's this pin on the right side. Go and push that in, and you can see on the other side that raises the pin, and you can fold this lever, rotate this lever. And I don't know why, but mine is very, very difficult to remove. And so I'm gonna fast forward this while I try to wrestle with it. And there's no magazine in it, it's just very obstinate. There we go. Whew. All right. You can see this is the recoil spring. You just are going to pull that upwards. You're going to have to pull it forward, up, and out. And it's not a captive spring, so it's a real pain getting it back in. You can see that this has a little notch kind of thing that goes into the barrel, the hop-up unit at the bottom of the barrel. Just kind of like that. If I can actually get it in, just like so. Okay, anyways, that's enough of that. Barrel, just pull up and out. And here you can see your hop-up adjustment dial. Just move that back and forth. To the rear is up. So that would be, well, depending on which way you're looking at it, that would be clockwise. So pretty exciting. Maybe you can actually see the fake rifling now. A little bit better. Yeah, maybe not. Okay. There's the internals, and like I said, this is just such a light slide. Not much to talk about here. Pretty straightforward. Just your standard piston. And over here we have the lower. And not a huge amount to talk about in here. So, alright, I guess just put it back together now. Probably could use a good oiling. Probably will do that after this. And to get this spring back in, I basically just pre-compress it. I really wish they would have done a captive spring on this, but oh well. Gotta do what you gotta do. And hopefully this time we'll get it on without an issue. You just have to pull it back until you can rotate this lever up. There we go. Sometimes it's more finicky than that, but this time seemed like it worked pretty well. Yeah, alright. So we're back together. And while I had it apart, I forgot to mention the hop-up. The hop-up is okay. It seems to lift 0.2s and 0.25s fairly well. The 0.3s I put through it didn't really seem to be very good at that, but 0.25s, I think that's good enough. Like I said, most of the time when I use a pistol, it's at very close range. So as long as it can shoot 10 yards accurately, I think that's pretty good. So that's all the good stuff. And I want to reiterate, I do like this gun. I think it's a lot of fun. The fully automatic is super fun. So fun, in fact, we're going to show the clip again, okay? Yeah, it is a blast. I absolutely love shooting this beast. It is so much fun. Do I recommend that you buy one? Not necessarily. For a very specific reason, which I actually mentioned in my 5 things that you need to know before you buy a GBR. Spare parts. Unfortunately, as with a lot of KWC replicas, the spare parts for this gun are not common at all. And to be honest, I haven't been able to find the parts that I need. Specifically, a sear. I cannot find a replacement sear. The problem is that the sear is wearing down, and that means that it sometimes shoots in fully automatic even when semi-automatic is selected. At this point, it's not happening very commonly, but it will get worse as the sear wears down more and more. And that's a problem. Most of the fields around me only allow semi-automatic, which means if I can't get this to shoot in semi-automatic, I can't use it. That's a real issue. And that basically means that this is a paperweight until I can get a replacement for it. And I'm gonna go ahead and just try to show you the issue if I can. I have a magazine with CO2 in it. No BBs, of course. And there is nothing in the chamber. So we're gonna go ahead and just fire off a few dry fire. I'm gonna hold down the slide catch. And yeah, did you hear that? And if you noticed, 2 times I was shooting, it was only every like every 3 or 4 rounds or so, it fired twice instead of once. So let's do it one more time. That time I think it was 3 rounds. So you can see that until that issue is fixed, I really cannot use this gun at my local CQB field or even my outdoor field, thanks to the fact that they only allow semi-automatic. And this is kind of a lesson to all of us in spare parts. Make sure that your replicas have spare parts because parts break. Things like the trigger assembly, piston assembly, hop-up assembly, those parts are likely to break, and you need to make sure that there are spare parts available so you can keep it running. There are spare parts available, parts kit for the hop-up unit and even for the magazines. But unfortunately, there's nothing for the trigger assembly, so I don't know what I'm going to do with this replica. As of right now, it's been demoted to target duty only until we can work out something. I want to say another thing though. I'm not just trying to badmouth Elite Force here. Elite Force, they have warranties on these, and if you have a broken gun, broken parts, they'll try to fix it for you. So if you're within that warranty period, just contact them and hopefully they'll work this thing out for you. Unfortunately, I am well past the warranty period, so I have no chance in that area. So at this point, I don't know what else I'm going to do. And another thing I want to say is I still like Elite Force. They still have some fantastic products. It's just you need to make sure you get the right ones. But regardless of all that, until there's spare parts, I don't recommend this. I recommend you get something with more spare parts, like the Action Army AAP, a very cool replica, and tons of spare parts for it. Or something like a Tokyo Marui High Kappa. Something that is popular and common and easier to get replacement parts for. And I'm not saying that you should never buy these kind of less common replicas. Obviously, sometimes we got to do what we got to do for a very cool replica. But if you want a gun to keep running for as long as possible as your primary sidearm, I don't think I can recommend this guy. So let's go ahead and put this guy right back where he belongs. I hope you've enjoyed this video. And if you have any questions, please let me know down in the comments below. Any questions about the M9 or any questions about GBBs in general. And if you know of anywhere to get spare parts for this gun, please let me know because I love this replica and I would love to get it back out and playing with it. So until the next video, have a good one, guys.